Good morning. Welcome, everyone, and what a wonderful way to start our service and our day today with the Unity Women's Ensemble, our guest choir today. Thank you so much for being here, getting us off to such a great start. Yeah, we can applaud. Well, and welcome to each and every one of you to the Unitarian University. Is this working, Todd, okay? Yeah? It's on? Check, check. It is? Okay. I usually hear a little bit of myself, and so that's fine. Perfect. Even better. Even better. Good. Yeah, because I don't like listening to myself, so that's a very boring speaker. Warning. No. But I do want to welcome everyone to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane this morning, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world, or, as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. Again, welcome to everyone. We want to embrace all that you bring with you this morning, all of your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, your differences, all that helps make you who you are is welcome here today. And this includes, of course, those of you who are in the room with us this morning. Not as many as usual. We're having our annual meeting after our second service, so a lot of folks are coming for that service prior to that. But we're sure glad that those of you who are here this morning. And this includes, of course, those in the room with us, as well as those who are streaming with us this morning, and those who are Zooming with us as well. We'll say hello to you more directly in just a moment. But again, we want to embrace all that you bring with you to this space, your uniqueness, your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, your differences, everything you hear me list each Sunday. So glad to have all of you. As I mentioned, our annual meeting is happening this afternoon at 12:30 after our second service, and we will have some church business that we need a quorum to be here for, so hopefully our voting members in particular will stick around for that or come back for that. And if you just have nothing better to do and you're not a voting member and want to join us, you can do that as well. So. Okay, I want to go ahead and open it up to our Zoom friends for just a minute. Say hi to you. Joyce, are you the host of the Zoom room today?
I am, and we are, 11 people at the moment, more joining as we speak, and we're all the way from New York to Vancouver, BC.
Oh my gosh, wow. Well, it's so good, so good to have all of you here. I was going to say, can you tell us a little bit about the group? And you did well right from the start. Is there anybody joining us for the first time in the group today?
I think I see familiar names, so probably not.
Great. And Joyce, you have I'm going to give you just a minute to put in a plug. You have a class that is going to be coming up with for the NAUA, North American Unitarian Association. You want to say anything about that?
Yes, it's a class on race amity, which is, for me, a more positive approach to racial justice than the UUA has been promoting. So I'm going to share what we have done locally with that, and then just also to note that next Sunday is National Race Amity Day. So hopefully we'll have more information next week for that.
Wonderful. And your class is going to be on what date?
July 20th, I think it is.
I think so. Second Tuesday of July. Right.
All right. Third Tuesday, perhaps.
Third Tuesday. Okay.
I can't remember. July.
Yes. Well, if it's the 20th, it should probably be the third Tuesday, so that's true. Well, thank you. Thank you all so much for being here. We're glad to have all of you, and again, glad to have all of you who are watching our live stream with us today as well. So welcome to one and all. We're going to take just a minute now here, as we do at the start of our service, to greet one another. So please take a little walk if necessary, and say hi to somebody this morning.
I'm going to mute Spokane so that we can answer.
And before we light our chalice, I do want to make one more important announcement. As you probably know, the annual Pride Weekend is happening next weekend, and the Pride Parade will be on Saturday, June 10th at noon, and the lineup will begin at 11:30. So I hope you will join us for that parade. It's probably been a while before a lot of us were comfortable being out in parades, but if you are, wear some comfortable clothes, some bright comfortable clothes, and join us and other UUs walking in the parade on that day. If you can't walk, you're welcome to show up and your support by watching. Our church will also have a booth at the festival near the clock tower, and if you can staff that booth for an hour, please sign up at the social justice table in the back. We would appreciate that. And I would say that there is a lot to celebrate in our accomplishments in recent years, particularly the past decade, around rights for the LGBT community. But there's also a move afoot right now to turn back that clock some. And we need to be there to show our support as much today as we ever have. So I look forward to seeing you there if you can make it next Saturday, June 10th, beginning at 11:30 to line up for that parade. So yes, let's go ahead and move forward now by lighting our chalice, which is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It is a symbol of our unity and solidarity, the very unity and solidarity that drives us to show up for such a parade, as does our openness and inclusion, and our community and our individual uniqueness. It's all there. And so may this flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world, and a beacon of hope to those in need. And may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
The opening reflection comes to us this morning from the December 2020 edition of UU Touchstones magazine. Kindness strengthens and deepens relationships. Kindness is a bridge over troubled water, a safe harbor in a storm, a gesture of welcome to a newcomer. Kindness is a balm that can heal the wounds of alienation and isolation. It is a gesture that can put a stranger at ease and disarm an enemy. Kindness nurtures deep connections because it is such a generous act. We don't need to question motives because kindness always comes from the heart. As Mother Teresa said, kindness has converted more people than zeal, science, or eloquence. Importantly, the purpose of such a conversion is to multiply kindness and weave even deeper connections. Come, let us worship together.
Our first hymn of the morning is We Sing of Golden Mornings. It's number 44, or of course, you may access the screen. Please rise as you're willing and able.
We will now kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds this morning. I did not receive any specific request for candles this week, but certainly want to begin, as we have been for some time now, on behalf of the people of Ukraine and that part of the world that are being most impacted by the terrible and unnecessary violence going on there. Let's take a moment of silence now, embracing others who are here or here in our hearts this morning, and as always, you're welcome to name them aloud at this time if you'd like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I'm wondering if you can all just stand outside my window at night and sing that before I go to sleep. Oh, well, this morning's Time for All Ages is adapted from a story by Martha Dallas. And I want you to imagine with me that you are going along a trail in Riverside Park, and you come to a steep cliff edge, the Spokane River rushing below. There's only one way to get across. You see a bridge, and it's made of this. Okay. What would you be thinking before you set foot on a bridge made of grass? What I would want to know, more than anything else is if the people who made the bridge actually walked across it, and if they're still using it. Of course, we don't have bridges made of grass in Washington, but many were built for hundreds of years in South America by the Inca people, and I think a few still exist. Here's how they did it. First, they made fresh bridges once a year. Everyone in the village would gather, and each person had a special job. There were people who gathered the grass. Other people took that grass and twisted it into long ropes. Still others took those ropes and wove them into thick braids. And those braids were twisted by other people into long cables as thick as my arm. Certain people strung the cables across the gorge and pulled them nice and tight. And finally, there were riggers who would lash the cables together in such a way as to create a footbed to walk on and rails to hold on to. Each person did their part as best they could, and they relied on everyone else to do their part well, because every one of them needed that bridge to safely carry them across the river wherever they needed to go. I tell you about grass bridges this morning for two reasons. First, it reminds us how important our small part is when it's part of something big and strong like a bridge made of grass. Second, we in this congregation may not be building a bridge across a raging river, and you should know that now there is a steel bridge built by the Civil Conservation Corps in Riverside State Park. But we are building a way towards our future, our shared vision. Today after church, the grown-ups will have an annual meeting where we all decide which way to walk, metaphorically speaking. We want to walk a way that feels strong and safe, a way that we know has been built well, with everyone doing their part as best they can. So may we all build this bridge together like the Inca bridge builders. Thank you.
It is time in our service to still our minds and slow our breathing, moving us to a place where we can consider these words from UU Minister James Kubal Komodo. I often think the actions of our lives, and sometimes our entire lives, are like small stones being dropped into a pond, creating ripples far beyond the point at which the stone fell, and we never quite know what the results of our individual's actions might be. And yet, in my experience, at least once in a while, what may seem like an event without any redeeming value in our own lives may turn out to touch the life of another person in a deep and profound way.
For our reading today, I'm actually going to read an excerpt from one of my sermons I gave just a little over a year ago on the myth of the Hydra. In Greek and Roman mythology, defeating Hydra is one of the 12 labors of Hercules. the half-man, half-god superhero of his time. He does finally get Hydra under control, but later is accidentally poisoned by a bit of its deadly blood, which, according to some versions of the myth, caused the death of this ancient Superman. So Hydra may be the true victor in this story, after all. Yet the ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus has another take on the story. "What do you think would have become of Hercules," he asked, "if there had been no lion, as in the story, and a hydra and a stag and a boar and unjust and brutal men, whom he drove forth and cleansed the world of? What would have he done then, if there had been nothing of this sort?" His point being that nobody would ever have heard of Hercules had it not been for these 12 trials, including Hydra. His life would have been uninteresting and unremarkable. Hydra, like all of his challenges, helped make Hercules who he was. Learning to overcome them is what made him great. He would have been nothing without them.
Sailing right behind, like ease your mind.
I will ease your mind.
I will ease your mind.
Yes, I will ease your mind.
I will ease your mind.
Yes, I will ease your mind.
I will ease your mind.
Yes, I will ease your mind.
I will ease your mind.
Yes, I will ease your mind.
I will ease your mind.
Yes, I will ease your mind.
I will ease your mind.
Yes, I will ease your mind.
I will ease your mind.
Yes, I will ease your mind.
I will ease your mind. I will ease your mind.
Thank you so much. I almost waited for you to have sung that. Wish you waited to sing that after the sermon, because now I have to follow that. That is the way that song is supposed to be sung, apparently. I've been waiting all my life to find out, and now I know. Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. So, although he appreciated Stoicism, France's greatest Enlightenment philosopher, Voltaire, said, "I am rather an Epicurean. I do not think life is to be endured. I think it is to be enjoyed." And I agree, but I also think there's a lot we must endure in order to enjoy life. There's a scene in the 2008 Academy Award-winning film Slumdog Millionaire, in which a child gets locked inside of a public outhouse just as his favorite action star's helicopter is heard arriving overhead for a special event. The excited boy's been carrying a picture of the celebrity with him in desperate hope of getting his signature. Now the moment is finally at hand, but it is also about to slip away. Everyone in town is running to catch a glimpse of Amitabh, their favorite action hero, with no one left to hear the boy's pleas for help. The trapped boy looks down into the well of human refuse beneath him. His last possible means of escape, his last hope. He pinches his nose with one hand, holds his treasured picture up as high as he can in the other, and plunk, in he jumps. In the next scene, the child is covered from head to toe in human feces, running toward the cheering crowd, yelling, "Amitabh, Amitabh!" Meanwhile, the police are doing their best to hold the excited mob away from the visiting superstar. But when they realize that he's covered in crap, everyone is eager to step aside for the boy, allowing him to easily make his way to Amitabh, who readily autographs the picture. No one else was able to get even close enough to gain such a treasure, which the overjoyed and victorious child raises up and says, "Yay! Amitabh signed my picture!" But had he not gone through the crap, had he not remained covered in it, he would not have achieved his goal. This memorable scene serves as the perfect metaphor for what I believe life is and ought to be about most of the time. We're almost always dealing with some kind of crap. And it is often, as in this boy's cinematic parable, the crap that other people put in our way. There are always those who don't seem satisfied unless they are interfering with the lives of others, usually by trying to force their own ideas and ways upon everyone else. They could be individual neighbors, co-workers, even family members, or entire groups, religions, political parties, even a single dictator like Vladimir Putin. Hell is other people, Sartre said, and at times, some of them can be. But much of the time, the difficulties and challenges we endure, we choose to take on for ourselves. Because like the boy destined to become a slumdog millionaire, we know it will all be worth it, worth enduring it if it means achieving our greater purpose which is the true source of our joy. Exercise is a good example. We may enjoy exercising, but it is not a physically pleasant experience. No pain, no gain, as the saying goes. One of the benefits of exercise is endurance. That's what it does. It makes us stronger so we can endure more pain. And it is worth enduring because of the health benefits that we gain as a result. To me, this is the secret to enjoying life in general. But I don't mean that we should intentionally seek to suffer or tolerate all the injustices and evils in the world in the hope of someday reaching an imaginary promised land. What I mean that the secret to enjoying life is first figuring out what is meaningful to us. What makes life meaningful? Then going for it and enduring whatever we must to get there. The meaning is the motivation. With meaning, we're able to have purpose to face all those difficulties along the way. And without such meaning, without such purpose in what we do, that's when our difficulties just wear on us and make our life perpetually miserable. Because going through them doesn't mean anything. By knowing their purpose, even gives meaning to the difficulties, to the problems, and to the challenges before us. Knowing their purpose, finding meaning, is what makes life worth living. This is so of most everything we engage in, great or small. I like to cook, for example. But cooking takes a lot of time to do it right. There's shopping, preparation, carefully putting the ingredients together, patience waiting and minding it while it cooks, and a lot of cleanup afterwards, at least for me to feel like the task has been fully completed. Compared to the brief amount of time it takes to eat, cooking just isn't worth it. But the point of cooking, if you enjoy it, isn't about the time or the work involved. It is about the flavor of the dish and the joy of eating and sharing it with others. It can also be about eating healthy food, which can be hard to get if you don't cook at home. If that were all that mattered, we'd just eat fast food all the time, which is the case for some people these days. The Broadway musical Gypsy includes the song, "Everything's Coming Up Roses." And its last line says, "Everything's coming up roses and daffodils. Everything's coming up sunshine and Santa Claus. Everything's going to be bright lights and lollipops. Everything's coming up roses for me and for you." It's a happy song, but a little too saccharine, even for my sweet tooth. Because there's nothing in it about the bitter truth. That roses have to push their way up into existence through manure. Manure that enriches them, and as beautiful as they are, they come through it with a lot of thorns. They are beautiful, but they are tough, and they are hardy. Roses without thorns that don't rise up through the manure truly are as fanciful as Santa Claus and about as worthless as lollipops. Reality must be faced and grappled with. It must be endured for it to become meaningful and beautiful to us. Being the minister of this church has been exceedingly meaningful and beautiful to me, but it has also been extremely challenging, and it has sometimes taken everything I have to keep going. Or maybe I have that backwards. This church has sometimes taken everything I have to keep going, which has made it exceedingly meaningful and beautiful to me. For no matter the difficulties I've endured, it has and continues to enable me to do what is fulfilling in my life. Whenever things are tough, I just picture the image of that little boy covered in crap celebrating his extraordinary achievement. And I think that's what ministry, like most everything else worthwhile in life, is about. But there was a time not too long ago, as you might imagine, I was close to calling it quits. In the aftermath of my book, The Gadfly Papers, I realized the religion I had been part of and served for most of my career no longer represents my values. As an institution, it attacked my character without reference to any facts in a frenzied and panicked attempt to discredit and silence my voice. Even more painful were those within our own congregation who treated me with disdain and cruelty, and were willing to ruin the church itself if they could, if it meant crushing me. They were people I'd known and loved for years. It took a toll on me, and I wanted to leave. I contemplated my exit strategy. But I didn't want to leave merely because things had gotten tough. Tough only invigorates me, in case you haven't noticed. I wanted to leave because Unitarian Universalism no longer held meaning for me. I still had my values, but as an institution, my religion had come to represent their very opposite. Instead of the worth and dignity of every person, upheld through a culture based on freedom and reason and tolerance, the UUA leadership now dehumanizes those it disagrees with in an extremely authoritarian, dogmatic, and intolerant fashion. I am and always have been willing to go through the crap, so long as it leads to something meaningful, so long as going through it has purpose. But being part of a religion that has become so incredibly cruel and corrupt was no longer meaningful to me. But there was still much else that did make bearing it meaningful. Firstly, ours is a historic 136-year-old congregation that has proven to consistently uphold our liberal values more than most Unitarian churches have over the decades. If I left, I wondered where in the current climate would this congregation find another minister committed to honoring and continuing the liberal heritage and principles of this historic church. If I left, I did not believe that our congregation would survive, at least not as a genuinely liberal religious congregation. And when I do leave, I hope I will leave this congregation better off than when I came, ready and eager for what comes next. Additionally, all of this happened before and during COVID, which left our congregation with yet another major challenge to face. I knew at the very least I had to remain long enough to help get us through the pandemic, no matter how depressed I felt at times. And on a personal note, I also take some pride in standing up to bullies and to remain standing at the end of the day, no matter the pummeling I might take. Surviving difficulties, including the cruelty of others, gives my life meaning, and at the end of it all, I enjoy being able to say, na 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 na. But what really kept me going and got me through a lot of this was knowing that so many of you wanted me to stay and that I had your support. Many said, please don't leave. We need you here. And when push came to shove, as the saying goes, 87% of this congregation voted unanimously for an entirely new board of trustees, which was also a tremendous show of support and vote of confidence for me. That meant a great deal to me, more than I can say. And it is our mutual admiration and love for each other that is the main reason I'm still here. Your well-being and the well-being of our congregation is what makes being here meaningful to me. It is what has enabled me to endure a lot of the crap that we've all gone through together. But none of this was really enough to make me want to stay in ministry for the long haul. I had come to view Unitarian Universalism as a lost cause and an imminently dying religion that no longer gives my life meaning. Then about a year ago, I decided I'd give it one more go by running for the UUA presidency, a position that will be voted on this month. I didn't expect to win in this climate, but I thought it might be one more opportunity to raise awareness among other Unitarians about what's happening in our religion and to finally force a dissenting voice onto the UUA's tightly controlled platforms and podiums. No sooner had I let our congregation know of these plans in an internal, unlisted YouTube video than the corrupt administration of the UUA sent me, and I don't use that term corrupt lightly. If they want to send me one of their cease and desist letters, I'll be happy to produce the documents for your attorneys. Sent me a threatening and hostile letter radically misrepresenting their election rules around running as a petitioning candidate rather than the one chosen by their own election campaign committee. Now, I won't go into the complicated details now. It should suffice to point out that a 2018 UUA report on changes to the UUA presidential election states, we recommend that the bylaw that allows for running for president by petition be eliminated. 9.6a as it pertains to the office of president. In the absence of the will to eliminate this bylaw completely, we believe the threshold for petition candidates should be raised significantly to at least 50 congregations from at least 2 regions and certifiable only by the action of duly called congregational meetings. 50 congregations from at least 2 regions. Now, these changes were approved in 2019, although it became 3 regions. The UUA then falsely claimed that petitioning is part of the campaign process and can't begin until after they've announced their candidate on November 15th, giving petitioners who once had as much time as they wanted to gather the necessary petitions just 2.5 months to get 50 congregations from around the country to hold special congregational meetings, which take forever, to approve their petition candidacy. That's impossible. The UUA knows it's impossible, which is precisely what their own documents prove they wanted, to effectively eliminate the petitioning process and any changes or challenges to their presidential appointee. Yet after all this, in their latest UU World Propaganda Rag, Spring-Summer 2023, page 50, they have the audacity to write, the UUA Board of Trustees invited other potential candidates to consider running by petition through the process defined in the bylaws, but no one chose to do so. As a result, their anointed candidate is now, in their own words, the sole nominee for president, just like they planned. Prior to this vicious assault against the democratic freedoms the UUA bylaws themselves grant me and others, I had regained my enthusiasm because I found new meaning in being part of the UUA and purpose in enduring whatever I had to. But even though they illegally prevented me from running, my hopes were not dashed. This latest injustice only emboldened my resolve, and that is when the North American Unitarian Association was born, NAUA. For I realized we need not continue our pointless efforts to reform the UUA when there are enough of us to provide the very support and kind of liberal community amongst ourselves that we need. And it is NAUA that has now put the spring back in my step, because it has given my ministry and my life new purpose and meaning. I've had to go through a lot of crap getting to this point, but it has been worth it, because what I'm doing now will help assure the future not only of our historic congregation, but of many other congregations and of liberal religion itself. And for the first time in more than a century, we have an association that not only wants liberal religion to survive, but to thrive. But to thrive so that through it the whole of human civilization might begin to flourish again. If I can someday go to my grave knowing that I helped accomplish this, then I will have both endured and enjoyed my life because of the purpose and meaning this endeavor gave me. So that's a little of my story of pushing through the manure. And in case you haven't noticed, I have a lot more thorns than I used to. But I'm still blooming. And I believe this process, the same process, is at work in all of our lives. And as I said at the start, that's what life is about. Whatever happens in the coming year, our church is going to go through tough times. Some of them may fall upon us, and some we may choose to go through because doing so will be worth it to us. The same is true for us as individuals. We will go through difficulties and face challenges ahead, some due to circumstances beyond our control, and some by our own design. Whatever their origin, we will choose to undertake these challenges because doing so will be what it takes to fulfill our purposes and our sense of meaning. The Stoics and Epicureans were both right. Life is meant to be endured and enjoyed. We endure what we must in order to enjoy what we can. Without the manure, without the thorns, there can be no roses. Likewise, without the challenges and difficulties we face throughout our lives, in almost all we do, our lives would be meaningless, and we could not fully unfold, and we would not have joy. Struggling without purpose leaves us empty, despondent, and depressed. Yet true joy without struggle is meaningless. May the struggles that we face in the months and years ahead be meaningful and bring us much satisfaction, fulfillment, and joy. Amen.
Well, let's have a little bit of that joy. We want to end with a song for this month and for the summer season. It's called June is Bustin' That All Over. It's from the musical Carousel. It starts with a little preface, and then I will bring you in on the June is busting part. Okay, please rise as you're willing and able. March went out like a lion, whipping up the water in the bay. Then April cried and stepped inside, and along came pretty little May. May was full of promises, but she didn't keep them quick enough for some. And the crowd of doubting Thomases was predicting that the summer'd never come. But it
We do not walk through the doors of any church to find a perfect group of people, but rather, church is where we practice being human. Theologian James Luther Adams. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom.